Welcome back. You're still watching World Insight with me, Tian Wei. The program is coming to you live on CGTN. The funding for the border wall between the United States and Mexico has become a symbol of a divided Washington. Entangled in the debate are not just the White House and the Capitol Hill, but also comedians who can't resist poking fun on American politics. One of them is Joe Wong, a Chinese-American comedian who cracked the arguably best cross-culture wall joke ever. This is him in the recent Stephen Colbert show.
Trump wants to build a wall to stop immigration. I'm from China. So I know a lot about walls. They don't work. And centuries later, it's just going to become a huge tourist attraction.
So when Joe Wong's late-night talk show gig came out, it was so hilarious that it got 2 million views on YouTube in just 2 weeks. From a straight-A student with a doctorate degree in molecular biology to becoming a household name as a stand-up comedian. From a no-English student to a unique master of comedic timing. Joe Wong, over 8 years of learning the ropes, he boldly has gone where no Chinese-American comedian has ever gone before. Earlier, I sat down with Joe in Beijing. After knowing him for quite some years, I'm still pleasantly surprised by his ability to see through things and poke fun on them all at the same time.
I heard that Asians have become the fastest growing immigrant group in America, which is really amazing because Mexicans can cross the river and come here. And I have to fly thousands of miles to Mexico. And then cross that river.
People call you China's best export to the United States.
No, the funniest export. Not the best.
There you go.
Yeah, I think still the best is the panda. Nobody competes with the panda.
No, nobody can, really. But think about it. Have you ever thought about maybe tariffs related in the future?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe I have to raise my price in America, right? And my appearance fee has gone up because of the tariffs.
Will you become part of the agreement between China and U.S. when it comes to trade deals?
Oh, yeah, I have to look it carefully. See if my name's there.
Yes, what is one of the categories?
Oh, yeah, exactly, yeah.
But what do you think about that? I mean, this hilarious trade war between the two of the largest economies in the world.
I think it's kind of sad, I used to say that, if your country is strong enough, you don't need a wall. If your country is weak, the wall is not going to protect you. The wall is not good for trade. It just adds to the misunderstanding between people. And China and the U.S. has a very long history. They were allies during the Second World War, and then they became enemies during the Korean War. And I grew up in northeast part of China, right on the Korean border. Right. The first American my daddy saw was an American pilot. Oh. Yeah, he just bombed my dad's elementary school. And he stuck his head out. And my dad was 8 at the time. He was looking up, the American pilot was looking down. So
can you really see the pilot?
Oh, yeah, because at the time, the airplane is fairly, simple. The pilot saw him, he saw the pilot. I guess, I don't know what they were thinking. My guess would be, no school, huh? No, cool.
That's an agreement.
Yeah, no school today. And then later on, the first American I saw was in college, and he was my English teacher.
And he was looking down, you were looking up.
Yeah.
And saying, no school.
No school, yeah. I was like, no school, I'm cutting school. But at the time, I was really stupid. I didn't want to learn English. I just feel that, Chinese is hard enough, And at the time, I didn't have the idea of going abroad and study. I was just like, it's just useless. We didn't take it seriously until years later I started to regret. I'm like, I want to go to America and study, and my English is not good enough,
1994, you did go to America.
Oh, yeah. That's the year I discovered America.
It will be recorded in history.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And in a very different way, because it was molecular biology.
Oh, yes.
That's your major.
Yes, that was
And you
my
look
major.
like that.
Oh,
right?
yeah, I look like a biologist. Yeah.
You joke about that also.
Not really, but I do. Sometimes I would just ask people, do I look like one of your TAs? I'm not good enough to be a professor, but teaching assistant, yes, probably acceptable.
Yeah. Well, there we go. But you think about that from a science guy, very nerdy,
yeah,
at least look like, to someone who's at the White House Correspondent Dinner, David Letterman show, and Ellen DeGeneres, and now Stephen Colbert, and many other things. It's quite hilarious, isn't it?
Yeah, that's because people tend to compress the time, Because, I do these things gradually. It took me almost 8 years to get on the Letterman show. And another years later, the correspondence dinner, and then I came back to China to host a show here called Is It True?
Yeah.
So it's just a very gradual process.
Is it true what you just said?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
My name is Joe Wong. But to most people, I am known as who? They took a picture of me screaming like this. And then they tried to sell it to me. I think this sign is a message of inspiration. If you work hard, you don't have to wash your hands.
You think about it. Starting from not speaking English at all to now being a master of it. So how is that process like for you?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a master. There are a lot of great masters of comedy, but I did have some limited success. But it's mainly, I think, just because I'm curious and interested in a different culture. Growing up, America was portrayed as an enemy. All its people are suffering. Kids don't have enough to eat. Workers are really mistreated by their bosses. During the 80s, my brother accidentally tuned into an American radio station, and the first song I heard is "Girls Just Want to Have Fun" by Cyndi Lauper.
That's quite a shock, cultural shock.
Yeah, I was like, wow, they seem to be having fun too, in that country. And it's gradually, then we had Michael Jackson, Bruce Springsteen, all these different singers. That's how I gradually got interested in American culture.
How did you catch up, and how did you become fascinated by American stand-up comedy?
That's a really long process. When I first got there, people don't quite understand me because my pronunciation wasn't there. I still remember once I was walking on the hallway.
Now you still pronounce in a way of Jilin accent English.
Oh, yes. Not even Chinglish. It's an even more local dialect of English.
Your hometown is proud of you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I still remember I saw this a female student. So I was intending to ask, oh, where do you live? But then I said, why do you leave? She was like, oh, I'm leaving for the bathroom. I was like, what? What? I'm asking her. So there's so many embarrassing moments, but gradually you kind of, push through. And to be honest, when I was a student, I didn't know there's a form called stand-up comedy. I think the most difficult show for me to understand are the talk shows. David Letterman, Jay Leno. I have no idea what they're talking about, and I don't understand why people are laughing on TV, because I know every word they say, but I don't understand the background behind it. So it's very hard for me to get the jokes.
olden days comedian.
Oh, I know. But it's hard to compete with Trump. That's the thing, you know.
Do you have the trouble of competing with him?
I'm far behind him. You know, he's just like every day he has this material coming up. You know.
So you read a lot about his tweets and stuff?
Not really. You know, you can't follow up. There's too many.
Is it too much, Trump?
Yeah, I guess, you know, to some people there is too much. But on the flip side, he keeps generating news that upsets people or get a reaction people, and we need an outlet for it. And that is why there are so many Trump jokes, because you know, people hear something, they feel some kind of pent-up anger or disbelief, and then you know, comedians have to address that. You know,
and you heal.
Yeah,
to a certain extent.
Exactly.
But sometimes when we feel being healed, we do not necessarily anymore go out there and really work on those issues anymore.
You know, Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert are my comedy heroes. And they used to do a lot of really edgy political material, and they even had a rally in Washington, D.C. a couple of years ago. And them and George Carlin, you would think that people can change their mind through their comedy. But, you know, I'm very disappointed to see that people really don't change their mind. They have a good laugh, they enjoy it, but then they still go about their own business thinking in their own ways. So I guess, you know, we can't overemphasize the role of comedy in people's lives. You know, it's still a form of entertainment. But if we can change people's mind, that's great, but it's very limited.
China, 40 years of reform and opening up already. And China-U.S. relations, 40 years as well.
Yeah.
We are all products of that,
Yes.
right? But now it seems that there's a different logic that's getting popular in some corners of the world. So, Joe, how do you reconcile your aspirations with what exactly is going on right now?
I can't. Yeah, I just worry for...
I'm so relieved when I heard this.
Yeah, I know. That is why it's very painful to kind of know what's going on in both countries and just see the tension is building up. Everybody is trying to, you know, get one up on each other. You know, just instead of doing business and have a, you know, normal relationship, now it's more of a competition. You know, so it's hard. You know, like I always feel that America is kind of like my wife, and China is like my mom, and now they don't get along, and both countries are nuclear powers. I'm like, oh man, if they don't get along, I can't even do comedy anymore. You know, just
so,
a lot of stress.
Right. So you can't choose between the wife and the mom, even though that's an Asian wife.
China is actually buying so much American product, and vice versa. The fate of the two countries are intertwined now. You know, if you want to tease them apart, it's just very painful. You know.
And now you see your kids.
Yeah.
Growing up, born in America, grew up some years in there, and then come back to China, also picking up the language and many other things. How do you see them, you know, the different cultures within one person?
I'm very encouraged by his Chinese, because when he was in America, he refused to speak Chinese, but now his Chinese is a lot more standardized than mine. You know, the education is better now. But on the other hand, I also worry about him, because I just worry if the world is going to a more confrontational direction, then people with bicultural backgrounds are going to be in much disadvantage than before. So it's both good and bad.
They're probably going to face more inter-conflicts.
After Trump took office, the racism remarks, even violence toward Asians, has gone up like 300%. There's just much more of them now. That's something I really don't want to see happening on my son. Yeah, for me, I'm old enough, you know, I kind of can deal with it. But for the younger kids, it's just even harder, you know. Yeah.
We talk a lot about America, but what about China today?
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of materialism.
Yeah, yeah.
You also see China's struggle to find its own identity when it becomes the second largest economy in the world, when it's proud of its own culture for the past 3,000 to 5,000 years. But what is modern China? And where is China? What's our signature? This is struggling of finding identity. Must be rich resources for you as well as a comedian.
What is Chinese identity? It's very controversial still. You know, like what you said, people are still struggling to find new identity. But one thing I have to say is the Chinese should be more proud. They should be more open and confident, because this is the second largest economy that just came up within the past 30, 40 years. It's amazing. And there's so much diversity here. I came from America and to China a couple of years ago, and you see like Korean songs, Russian music,
Everything.
Everything is right in one city in Beijing. You know, you have Chinese stand-up comedy, English stand-up comedy shows happening on the same night, sometimes in the same club. Yeah, these are stuff that people outside of China don't really appreciate.
China has a problem.
Yeah.
And a challenge, communicating with the outside.
The key is just let people do their own thing. Give them more freedom. They'll figure out some ways to get the message out. You know, the Chinese did this before. You know, they tried to push Chinese culture. What is Chinese culture? The Peking opera. Or, you know, these are great. But on the other hand, like what some people say, don't try to let foreigners enjoy what the Chinese don't even quite enjoy anymore. You know, the Chinese youth, you know, if the young people in China don't even watch it.
The opera is going to protest against you.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, no matter what I say, I'm going to get criticized. You know, even your young people don't even appreciate something. You don't expect others to appreciate it. You know, that's the bottom line. Just let culture develop and let people have the freedom to create stuff, and then it'll be recognized, because nobody's stupid. You know, if you created something really nice and cool, people are going to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Before we go, help us with a joke. I mean, quote unquote, a joke that you think would the best describe China today.
When I was growing up, we were told that America is about 150 years more advanced than China. But after coming back, I realized that China is actually 12 hours ahead. It's a time zone joke, but there's some truth to it. You know, just like China is still behind America in a lot of areas, but it's very close. In some areas, China is even more advanced. For example, like mobile payment, also the delivery stuff is just so much faster. So I understand why America is worried, you know, like China, because China is moving up so fast.
Right.
But on the other hand, you know, that's the way it is. You know, America could work harder if they don't want to be surpassed. You know, it just doesn't make sense to build up barriers to try to stop the progress. Yeah.
Joe Wong, China's funniest export to America.
Okay, thank you.
And certainly the funniest returnee among all to China.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joe.
I really appreciate it.
Joe Wong, a stand-up comedian, always trying to seek truth from the facts. That's all the time we have for today. If you'd like to see more, try to find us World Insight CGTN into your search engine. Check out our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Tian Wei. From me, Tian Wei, and everyone on the World Insight team, thanks for watching. Tune in again next time for insights across China and around the world. It's the weekend, everyone, so have a brand new year and a great weekend. Bye for now.